let's jump into it. I'm looking for anyone who is thinking about entering the mental health field professionally, curious about how a therapist gets made, or just looking to understand more about mental health. Stick around to hear exactly how this podcast can help you wherever you may exist in the wide world of mental health. Welcome, friends, and thank you for joining Whoa to Whoa. I am so happy you are here and ready to jump into the world of mental health with me. In case you are new once again, I am your host, Savannah. I am currently in my master's in mental health counseling, and I am taking you along for the ride with me as I begin to understand anything and everything mental health. So, why am I starting this podcast? Like I said, I will be starting my master's in mental health counseling program this spring, but that's not necessarily where my journey begins. I have worked in the world of mental health just shy of 4 years. I started out as an office assistant at a therapy private practice, and I have continued to work in private practices, but I've worked in just about any position imaginable as an admin. So I've been office manager, I've done insurance billing, I've just been like client care coordinator, all that good stuff. Because of these positions, I have answered just about any question imaginable that someone can think of when they're starting their therapy journey, because for a lot of the time, I'm the first person that a client is going to talk to and ask these questions that they're like, this might be a stupid one, but how does therapy work? I'm the person answering that question, so I feel pretty knowledgeable as far as how the world of mental health works. I've picked so many different therapist brains in different stages of becoming a therapist, whether they're an intern in their master's program, an associate still under supervision, or a fully licensed therapist. And honestly, I was so surprised by some of the information I got out of just picking people's brains about how they became a therapist. As I talked to more interns and associates, I realized, damn, there's really not a lot of great info out there about how you become a therapist for people wanting to be a therapist, or even someone just wondering, hey, how does someone do that? What did they learn? What do they know? Why should I trust them? Insert my brainchild. Woe to woe. I hope that this podcast helps shed some transparency on what a therapist learns, how they get licensed, how they get experience, and everything in between. This is kind of the overarching theme of this podcast, but I also have a few other important problems in the mental health field that I hope to tackle through Woe to Woe. I also want to make mental health topics digestible to anyone. I know from my own experience when I got interested in mental health and started trying to search for topics like dissociation or different types of therapy and things like that, that I was kind of hitting these roadblocks because all of the content was for people who have a full-blown like master's degree or are already a therapist. And I really struggled because those people have a base knowledge. They know some terms, they know all this good stuff, and it's not really broken down for people who are kind of new to the world of mental health. So I really hope that Woe to Woe can fill that gap and make content that's a little bit more geared towards the everyday person. So as I learn in my master's program, I want to help you learn too. Most of my episodes are going to be breaking down topics that I am learning in ways that make them digestible. Bonus, this is going to help me learn too. And also, I feel like a great way of learning is just trying to teach someone else something. I will say my first few episodes are going to be a little bit more about me and the experience I've had thus far prior to even starting my master's program, because I feel like I really accidentally gave myself a leg up when I started working at a therapy private practice, which wasn't even really my intention when I started. And I'd love to be able to pass that knowledge along to you guys, whether you're just curious about therapy or want to be a therapist. But after that, stick around because episodes are going to come out weekly, and that's when I'll start really breaking down those topics that I am learning. So the next big goal of Woe to Woe is helping those who may be skeptical of mental health care get insight into how and why therapy is important. For a long time, mental health professionals kind of existed in this place that I feel like really dehumanized a therapist and created this hierarchy, if you will. So for a long time, therapists were expected to not really reveal things about themselves, not have social media, not even like have pictures of their family or whatnot in their office, which I think is a little crazy. For a long time, mental health professionals existed in this space where they weren't supposed to really disclose that they were a human, you know? They were supposed to be this blank slate so that the client can focus on themselves, which is, I think, good and logic. But when you think about it a little deeper, it really creates this like you versus them mentality for the client. And how are you going to trust someone you basically know nothing about, if that makes sense? What I kind of mean to say by that is it creates this, oh, I'm the authority in this situation, when a client's really trying to reveal to you some of their deepest insecurities or trauma and things like that. I feel like I even went through this whenever I was starting my therapist shopping journey, because I struggled to find someone who I felt like I could connect with and who I felt safe with, honestly. While I think that, yes, it's important to not offer up your own experiences all willy-nilly in therapy, I think that we are not blank slates. We're humans. We have a personality and a life, and sometimes even our own struggles. This shift towards humanizing therapists has been happening so much in the past few years in the mental health world, and I've even seen it myself, and I hope that this podcast can only add to that discussion in a way that is meaningful. So what that all boils down to is that another one of my goals is humanizing therapists so you understand this is how they become a therapist. This is why they're knowledgeable on these topics, but also they're a person too, and they're really there trying to connect with you and help you through some of the hardest parts of your life. All in all, guys, if you're interested in mental health from a professional or a personal perspective, I have been through both, and I would love for you to stick around. So give me a follow wherever you are listening, and find my socials linked in the notes below to see the nitty-gritty daily life of a grad student on her way to becoming a therapist.